Hi guys, it's Ankita. Welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I talk about books here. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It motivates me. It feeds into my vanity. Speaking of vanity, in the month of Feb, when romance is in the air, I decided to read Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. Never did I ever think, obviously before this February, that I would ever pick up one of Thomas Hardy's books to read in February, or to even consider his books when thinking about romance books. If you don't know, Thomas Hardy's books are known for being absolutely devastating, heartbreaking, grim. It seems like his work was a reflection of his pessimistic view of the world, also of how difficult his life was, or relationships in his life were. Anyway, I decided to read this book because I already watched this movie several years ago, and I recall that it had I won't say happy, is it happy? Well, a satisfying ending. And I really liked the characters. I mean, one character, and that's Gabriel. I really liked him in the movie. And when I read this book, I liked him even more. I fell in love with him. What can I say? Gabriel Oak is the best. So speaking of Thomas Hardy's books, I have watched his Test of the Bubbles. I watched that television series a few years ago, and it was absolutely heartbreaking, and I decided I am never going to read Thomas Hardy. But so in this book, we follow Gabriel Oak and Bathsheba Everdeen. By the way, I absolutely love both of these names. They are memorable. Gabriel Oak, at the beginning of the book, is a farmer. He is a very humble human being, very connected to his land, to what he does. He's a very simple, humble man. And then arrives Bathsheba Everdeen, who is nothing like him. She is beautiful. She knows it. She is very vain. And Gabriel likes her. So he confesses his love for her, and she rejects him. Many years go by, and I don't exactly recall how many, but Bathsheba Everdeen moves away from the place where Gabriel has his farm. Hard times fall on Gabriel. Gabriel loses his farm, and he sets off in search of work. And by this time, Bathsheba has inherited a farm, I believe from her uncle. She has inherited a farm, and she's running the farm on her own. And she happens to be in need of a shepherd. And here comes Gabriel. Now Gabriel has to watch Bathsheba court other men, and it's just not easy for him. He still loves her deeply. His love is truly noble. That was something that I observed while reading the book, as opposed to watching a television series or movie based on this book. Well, I noticed that there are so many different faces of love in this book. So Gabriel Oak's love is very noble. He's a gentleman. And then there are other forms of love in this, other faces of love rather. Unhinged, unhealthy love, deceptive love, naive, pure love. Anyway, a lot of things happen, in this book, and all of it is set in the countryside. It's all about farms, imagining rolling hills with sheep and farmers and their farmlands and pubs. It's just so very pastoral. Even though Thomas Hardy writes really grim fiction, I understand why people might be drawn to his fiction, is because his writing, nature writing, is so good. Prose is brilliant, is just A1. There's this one chapter in the book when a storm hits the village where our characters are, and the description of the storm is just so beautiful. My biggest regret is that I listened to the audiobook and I don't have a physical copy of the book. I wish I did, and I wish I had actually sat down and read this book, because it would have been totally worth it, worth all the time. But sadly, I didn't. I just loved his writing. He talks about the movement of the stars. There's a very good quote which I'll try to put in this video towards the end of this video. So I ended up giving this book a 4-star rating. I think what I really liked in this book was Gabriel Oak. I loved him so much. And I also really liked Bathsheba Everdeen. Now, she is not a likable character, but I had to constantly remind myself she is relatively young. She is like in her early 20s or in her 20s, and I had to constantly remind myself she's young and she's going to make mistakes. She's not going to be really wise. But I really like that contrast between Gabriel and Bathsheba. There's one thing that I liked about Bathsheba Everdeen, and that was that when she inherits this farm, instead of appointing someone to run the farm on behalf of her, she actually does it herself, and I thought that was really commendable. It made me like her, and it made me feel like, okay, there's something in her, and I kind of liked her for Gabriel. There were a few points in the book where it did feel a little stretched out, but then again, this is a classic. You have to remember that back then people didn't really have any other entertainments. But anyway, I give this a 4-star rating, but it makes me wonder that if I would have actually read the book as opposed to listen to the audiobook, maybe this could have been a 5-star. But again, I'm not quite sure. And I won't be unless and until I do read a physical copy of the book. I would definitely recommend this book. I don't think I would recommend Tessa de Belleville's. I'm pretty sure the writing is brilliant, but it's a tragedy. If you want to get your heart broken, go ahead and read it. If you know any of Thomas Hardy's books that have a good ending, that are not heartbreaking, please let me know in the comments down below. If you have read this book, let me know what your thoughts are. So if you're looking for a fiction set totally away from the humdrum of urban life, then I would highly recommend this book to you. It is obviously a classic. I believe it is a Victorian. Let me look it up. Yes, it is Victorian. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.